Training is crucial for performance, improvement, and cohesiveness. It's also one of the most expensive investments we'll ever make. Getting training right can make a massive positive impact on a business. When we don't see meaningful results from training, it can cause tremendous frustration. In this 6-part series, of which this is part 2, I'm going to share the guidelines for training I've established for myself after many years of learning what works and what doesn't.
Running a service business can be hard. It is not unusual for business owners in industries like contracting, home repair, auto repair, business-to-business services like janitorial, IT and accounting, and many others to feel overwhelmed by all the priorities facing them at any given time. Between addressing the needs of the customers, managing the employees, figuring out the financials, and getting processes in place, feeling like you're making significant progress on your business journey can be difficult. Welcome to Service Industry Success, hosted by Brian Harding. Each week, Brian will look at real-world strategies for building the business you are dreaming of, while also sharing tactics to get through some of the most frustrating parts of business ownership with a lot more ease. Let's get started.
I look at training very much like an investment. I put time, money, and energy in now, anticipating a greater return of time, money, and energy later on. But not all investments are the same. An investment made in 1990 into Walmart stock would have resulted in considerably different returns than Radio Shack. Just because I invest the time, energy, and money for training and educating our team does not guarantee we're going to see a positive return. We must also have effective training systems, processes, and strategies. This is part 2 of a 6-part series in which I'm covering the guidelines I've developed for myself when I'm doing training and education with my team. It's not necessarily an all-inclusive list, but it's fairly comprehensive. If you haven't listened to the previous episode in this series, I would definitely recommend starting it from the beginning, which is episode 179, the one right before this. All right, so let's get into it. The next topic I want to cover, the next guideline I have for myself is reminding myself before I start that I am the one with the knowledge and performance expectations and the desire for more money, ease, and time to focus on other things. Therefore, proper training is a solution to my problems, not theirs. And this is one of those things that's really hard for, for those of us, again, my generation especially, where like we grew up and the boss just said things and we were just expected to do those things. And we have that that mindset that that's how it's supposed to work. And I get that. I totally get that. My life would be a lot easier if that was the way it is. I think in this moment, as I'm recording this, is 2024. In this moment, whether I like it or not, it's not the same as it was when I was 20 years old or 25 years old and I was coming up. It is just different. And employees now, again, whether I like it or not, by and large, employees now, though, they go home at the end of the day and they don't really care what I think. They don't worry about what I worry about. They don't worry about what I'm thinking. They don't probably dwell on the things I'm disappointed by. I am the one who wants them to improve their performance. I'm the one who wants them to incorporate this new knowledge I want to share with them because it benefits me. And yes, it benefits them too. I totally support that. I totally get that. But I'm the one who has the bigger desire for this in this moment. And so when I flipped my perspective from, I shouldn't have to teach them this. They should know them. They should know this stuff. It shouldn't take this long. When I flipped it to, yeah, but I'm the one who's going to get the benefit. And again, I totally get that they're going to get a benefit too. But when I switched my approach from this is solving their problem, I'm making it so they can be better, to I'm doing this so my life can be better, I really started to see a transformation and a different result in the training I was doing. The times when I treated training as a burden or thought to myself, this is crap, they should know this. I shouldn't have to cover this kind of topic, or I shouldn't have to cover this kind of topic more than a handful of times. Like they should just be getting it. The more I had that perspective are the times I can absolutely point to and recognize we didn't see much movement. We didn't see much improvement. We didn't see buy-in. We didn't see willing participation. And this is about the time when I shifted my approach from wanting, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm I wanted them to comply. Sorry. I wanted compliance to, I shifted it to, I want them to want to do the right thing when I'm not around. And that was a major transformation. And the reason I want them to want to do the right thing when I'm not around is because I'm selfish. I want to be able to do other stuff. I want my life to be easier. I want the company to operate better. And so when I changed it to this is solving my problem from this is solving their problems, the training took on a different meaning. And I think I just subconsciously approached it differently. I've talked extensively about how vehicle accidents nearly put us out of business. And for a few years, this was not an insignificant amount of time. For a few years, I approached this of I did the training and like it might have been more ranting than training. It might have been more. Again, I've talked about like pleading, begging, threatening. I covered the wide range of approaches. The more I took the approach that they should know this, and I shouldn't have to do this. I shouldn't have to cover this again. Why aren't they getting it? The less effective our efforts were. And when I shifted it from that to, you know, I want them to want to do the right thing when I'm not around. I want them to want to do this for the right reasons, not because they're afraid of getting chewed out by me, because they clearly weren't afraid of getting chewed out by me because I'd done it many, many times. When I made that shift and I recognized doing this well is solving my problem, I think I just subconsciously approach it differently. And the tone changed and I can absolutely say that I approach it more of a let's do this together rather than you should do this because I'm telling you to. And when I changed that approach, I saw better results. And I know again this is exceptionally hard for guys like me who are, fairly stubborn and rigid on some things and pine for the days where it was like when I was coming up in my career and, employees were more interested or eager to do things just because the boss said. I get that. I just don't think it fits in this moment as well. I think there will be times in the future where that probably will work again. This moment in time is not one of them. And this mental shift made it so I think I treated the training and education and getting buy-in on certain initiatives. I think it changed my approach in a way that was more enticing for people. And again, I can just point to note that conversation specifically on the vehicle accidents. There was a major change where for 3 years it was not working with my approach, and then all of a sudden I changed my approach, and within 6 months the problem more or less went away. So that was a major part of the change I did. All right, next one. This is kind of like the advice your grandfather gave you. If you don't have time to do it right the first time, you'll have time to fix it. It's very much like that. If I don't make time for proper training, I will have to make time to fix the problems that are a result of inadequate training. And this is kind of like the I think I've mentioned this on here before, and I'm sure you've probably heard it too, but it's worth repeating. There's a story that I don't even know if it's true. It probably isn't, but it doesn't matter. The point is worth mentioning. There's a board meeting, and the president of the company is talking about how we need to invest more money in training, and it's important to train our people so that they're really good in whatever. And the vice president says something like, "Well, what if we invest all this money in training and they leave?" And the president says, "What if we don't invest the money and they stay?" Again, I have no idea if that's true. It's probably not. It's probably more of an anecdote than a real life story. But I think there's real importance to understanding that and believing that. If I don't make time for proper training, I will have no choice but to fix the problems that come when there's inadequate training. Now, whether that means I have to fix it or somebody I'm paying to do a job will have to fix it. It may not be me directly that does it, but somebody's going to have to fix the problems that arise when the things that we need to be good at we're not good at because we didn't take the time to train them. And this kind of goes back to when I first started working with clients one on one, I would kind of have an onboarding process, and I would what are the top one, two, or three things you're having trouble with, and they would immediately know, like it could rattle off like only one or two or three, like I got 27, and they they would rattle off things, and it was really easy to know immediately they could tell me what the pain points were. Immediately they could tell me what the problems were. And then I would ask them, not in a snarky way, not in a gotcha way, but honestly, just like trying to understand like where they were and in what they've tried to solve this problem. And I would say, okay, I got it. You're having this problem with this issue. How much time did you spend training on that last year? And the answers were very high percentage time the same. And it would be awkward silence followed by probably not enough. So again, this is not a gotcha thing. I'm as guilty of this as anybody. There's been many, many times where I thought I shouldn't have to train this stuff. They should know this stuff. Investing time in training is not a good use of our time. But then I inevitably find myself having to clean up the mess, or working with a manager I employed, or a supervisor, or a lead I employed, or a customer service rep I employed, or somebody would have to clean up the mess. And so the investment is either in prevention or, resolving, right? The ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, kind of a thing. This is one that we all know, but we tend to, in my experience, or at least I tend to think, yeah, but in this case, it doesn't apply. And I think what I learned over the years was it does apply. It always applies, because I would be the one, again, on the phone with the customer dealing with the thing, or I would be the one who have to buy a new truck because we've wrecked it. Whatever it was, like it always somehow fell back in my lap when we didn't do the thing well. And so I know training is expensive. I mean, listen, when before I left, before I sold my company, we had 54 employees. We would have training meetings that had 50 employees. We would have everyone there except for a couple people who worked later in the evening, and they didn't come to the early morning meetings. A 2-hour training meeting would cost $20,000. And then we did that every week. I get that they're expensive. I don't dismiss that. That's why I say I very much look at this like an investment. I'm investing money now in the hopes of getting more money later. And in my case, that proved to be how it worked out. I invested time, so I got more time later. I was able to work 3 days a week. That's because I invested the time in the training. And I invested that time in the money and energy so I could focus on other things. I stopped having to clean up the messes, which freed me up to do things that grew the business. And this in those later on in my business ownership journey in my career, I came in those moments where I was like, well, we can kind of, mail it in a little bit this week and kind of cut the training short. I would stop myself and say, wait a second. When we used to do that, we had to spend a whole lot more time cleaning up messes. Now that we're investing the time in training, we're spending a lot less time cleaning up messes. Let's not break what isn't broken here. And so, I found that to be a useful exercise to go through when I was contemplating how much time was a good amount of time to spend on a thing. Like, well, how much time do you not want to have to clean up the mess? And that was a pretty good indication for me. So those are the two we're going to cover this week. I hope they're helpful. I hope they're meaningful. A lot of the stuff we're going to talk about are things that we've all heard. These ideas are not new in most cases. These ideas have been around 2,000 years, but these are the literal rules I hold myself to. And I'm not suggesting you have to do that. These are, I would put them out there as more guidelines and just things that work for me. And I hope they're helpful. And that's the two we're going to cover this week. And so, quick reminder, this is a 6-part series. We're going to cover lots of stuff on training. Many business owner peers and friends of yours are going to have frustrations and struggles with training. These are great episodes to share with a friend. Just like, hey, I heard this. I thought you might be able to benefit from it. Check it out. See if you like it. If you like the information I'm sharing, please share it with a friend or colleague you think can benefit from it. Of course, public sharing is also appreciated. And that's it for this week. I'll talk to y'all next week.